What's up, guys? Matt, your takeaway from the latest Lakers loss?
Ugly. This is the narrative has changed so much during this season, Max. This team went from a title hopeful, odds-on favorite to are they going to make the playoffs? Normally, anytime you have LeBron on your roster, you're going to have a chance. And I still believe in this team. But I think what they did in the bubble in 2020, people don't really understand how hard it is. They've been putting a new team together every single year since LeBron has been there. And that is hard to do. They struck lightning in a bottle being able to win a championship in the bubble, but that is hard to do, and you're starting to see that. Everyone wants to say this is an experienced team. This is just an older team that's built for the playoffs. So if they're able to make the playoffs, I think, who knows if they'll win a championship, but I think we'll see better basketball because they have more time in between. It's about adjustments, and they have days off.
Brian, your take on the situation in L.A.?
Yeah, so they don't really have a choice, Max, because they don't have their draft pick this year under any circumstance. So it's not like a year ago Toronto was in this situation. They were not as good as they thought, and they kind of shut down and ended up striking lottery luck. The Lakers don't have that option. And the second thing is, like LeBron said, they do have the opportunity to catch some lightning in a bottle. There is some relevance to the fact that Anthony Davis, the top 15 player, is going to hopefully rejoin them within the month or so. And so that's what they're playing for. But I will say that, LeBron did lay the groundwork before the All-Star break that his knee is going to be bothering him the rest of the season. So I've been listening very closely, and this was the most definitive statement that he's made, that he doesn't intend to shut things down. Now, we'll see. There's still, a month and a half left. But I think it's interesting that there's two things that LeBron cares about deeply. One is winning championships. Number two is history. And so while the championship may not come this year, LeBron still does have something to play for. He's chasing Karl Malone. He should be able to catch him by the end of the season for number two, setting the stage in all-time scoring, setting the stage to catch Kareem Abdul-Jabbar next year. So LeBron will have motivation to play for that, and while he wouldn't admit that, it does matter.
Matt, I remember, and I believe this was the year after you left the team. I was in L.A. doing radio and on the Lakers station, and they traded for Steve Nash and Dwight Howard, and that was and you were on the Clippers at that point, right? That was you had just been on the Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum team. And they got rid of too many of the Matt Barneses on the previous iteration of the team. And it was Dwight and Nash and all the shiny names. And this, to me, looks like the biggest underachieving team, star-studded Lakers team since that one, right? But in that one, Kobe Bryant kind of staged a behind-the-scenes mutiny. He was like, I'm not running this D'Antoni offense. I'm going to will us to the playoffs. He did. He played himself 40-plus minutes a game. And he wound up tearing his Achilles, and he was never, that was basically the end of his career, right, as Kobe Bryant, until that 60-point performance last night of his career. So what about the fact, Brian brings it up, Wendy brings it up, at what cost do you try to squeak into the playoffs or the play-in and not win a playoff series most likely? You're going to play a 37-year-old with all these miles, 1 million minutes a game? At what point does it get dangerous, Matt?
This is going to be a tough call and a tough situation. Like Brian said, they can't tank or pack it in because they really have nothing to pack it in for. So it is going to be a tough call. And again, I think all the things that Brian mentioned, although they're not discussed, LeBron is very aware of what's going on. His level of play hasn't really dipped, to be honest with you. He's still playing at a great level. The question has arisen in the last few weeks, although LeBron is a great player, can he still carry a team? That's a big question. And I think they were hoping that Anthony Davis obviously was going to be the one that was going to do a lot of heavy lifting and allow LeBron to really shine in the playoffs. AD has been in and out the whole season. So it's going to be interesting down the stretch to see how this team plays it.
Yeah, they never got enough shooting on the team. AD's not there for the defense, et cetera, et cetera. Another team out west that's struggling is the Golden State Warriors. They lost to the T-Wolves last night, are now just a half game ahead of the Grizzlies for the second seed in the West. Wendy, what's your read on what's going on with Golden State?
Yeah, they got three problems. Number one, Draymond Green is injured, and we still don't have a good timetable when he's coming back, which isn't a surprise because it's a back injury. Number two, they're just weak at the big man spot. Karl Anthony Towns did a number on them last night, especially when they had to take Kevon Looney off the court. And number three, their shooters are in a slump. You go back and look since February 1st, when they have a losing record, look at these shooting percentages. Jordan Poole, a guy who was absolutely spectacular while Klay Thompson was rehabbing earlier this year, since he's gone to the bench role, can't hit a shot. You put those three things together in a conference where you expect to get it every single night, you're going to lose some games. That's what's happening.
Windy, I know Poole is like a really good free throw shooter, and that usually indicates like consistency shooting the three or shooting from distance. But I thought when they put this team together last year, other than Steph, every other player on the team, there was not one other plus shooter at any position. You know, like Wiggins had a great shooting, but his career doesn't tell you he's a plus shooter for a 2, right? Draymond can't shoot from the outside. He's not a plus shooter for a 4. They don't have the shooting, right? I mean, even Poole is not a great shooter until last year. They all kind of shot above their heads last year.
Well, but Poole was shooting the ball great early in this season. And, they did get Klay Thompson back, and he's been okay. It's just that Poole, frankly, Steph has not shot the ball well all year. This is arguably his worst shooting season in like 10 years. And Jordan Poole, you thought when you moved him to the second unit, he would be able to sort of, control games a little bit. His usage rate, which is, how many, much he's used in the offense, has been actually lower. So just everything isn't coming together for them right now.
Matt, what's your level of concern for Golden State at this moment?
My concern is Draymond Green's health, first and foremost. This team doesn't stand a chance in the playoffs without him. With a healthy him and Klay in rhythm, this team can win a championship. I don't think people understand what kind of security blanket he is on the defensive end, what they've been struggling in, and how he's able to run the offense. If you look at this team when they're really rolling, Draymond Green has the ball in his hands, making a lot of the big decisions to get Steph open, in the past to get Klay open, and then getting these role players going as well. So I think Draymond Green's numbers are very deceiving as far as how important he is for this team's success.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the irreducible 2 of the Golden State Warriors, as we know them, that modernized, revolutionized offense, are Steph and Dre, actually, his pick and roll partner, his do everything point forward, small ball center, everything guy. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.